Just to lay out the map for the rest of the discussion, we do have a 10-minute, I think, media-rich presentation by Bodner Pierre to follow, and also a presentation from Professor Q. I just wanted to throw in the question for one of you about the pitfalls of creating indebtedness, and particularly international indebtedness, and how that might influence what's happening in Haiti at this moment, considering some of the things that Max just talked about.
First, I want to thank you. I want to thank PATOIS Film Festival here in New Orleans for giving us Haitian people to talk about our beautiful country, Haiti. So, the ongoing situation in Haiti is important for us to understand the past of Haiti. To understand this ongoing situation in Haiti, is important to understand the past of Haiti. We cannot forget that right after our independence, France made us pay for independence. And then for us to pay this money, we came to the United States to borrow money from Citibank. And then because we were not able to pay this money back with the highest interest rate, in 1915, U.S. occupied Haiti for more than 33 years. So, related to this story, to what Valerie Max just said, you can imagine the situation in Haiti now is not because of the earthquake. And I stand behind that because exactly 1 month after, we have a 8.8 magnitude earthquake in Chile. What was the result in terms of death toll, destruction, compared to Haiti's 7.0? Now, Asian people, we are ready to build back better our country. We want everybody. And we know, like people here in the United States, I would say particularly the ordinary citizen, are ready to have Asian people. That's the reason it's important for us Asians to tell the Americans that we are aware that you are ready to help us. And you've been giving money to help us in Haiti through USAID. Now it's time for you to ask your government where this money goes. When we need 3 SUVs for 6 NGOs to attend a meeting, when we need doctors, nurses, engineers to build roads, bridges, schools, and now you send me 20,000 troops. Come on, people. We are not at war in Haiti. We need help. We don't need occupation. We don't need occupation. My recent trip to Haiti let me understand and able to tell you that Asian people did not lose their dignity. The earthquake hit Haiti, but it did not hit our dignity. As a photojournalist, I was able to talk to many of my beloved people. I was able to go to Leogane, the epicenter of the earthquake, and there were 2 New Orleans students who accompanied me in this trip. One of them is here today, Audrey Stewart. And it was a long journey, but after we crossed the border, we clasped our hand, and it was almost like a party for us because we made it to Haiti. The reason it was so important for us to make this trip is because not to defeat what the image is that the mainstream media have been presenting of Haiti here in the United States, but to continue to follow the strength of Haitian people, how beautiful they are, how strong they are, to keep moving. Almost the work you have been seeing, or you can go on the ground to see, they have been doing by Haitian people, as you can see in the movie. Jack Mel did a part of the news in the media here for more than 2 weeks. Leogan, until now, it's like few articles about Leogan. So we need to question that. And a while on the ocean water, I saw 3 big USS ships in the ocean water, in the Asian water. Helicopters, everything. And a Canadian tube, several Canadian tubes. And almost 2 months after, what can United Nations tell us about in terms of progress? What they can present to us? We need that proof. You pay money, you pay taxes to help countries like Haiti, like Rwanda. Now it's your time to ask questions, to make your government, United Nations, accountable, because it cannot continue like that. We need to be honest with ourselves when you're talking about helping Haiti. When now we are able to, United States is able to send $100 million to Haiti. So who is using this money now? When you go to Haiti, you cannot rent a car. If these earths, dollars, all these cars are rented out to NGOs, Marines. And when we imagine all this stuff, Haiti, we don't have an airline. So almost 80% of the money that goes to Haiti will come back to the United States. And I remember reading that for each dollar that United States sent to Haiti, almost 85% come back to the United States. And you can see and imagine how these 85% come back to the United States. Because first, the bureaucracies. When we have a project, they say, okay, we have to do a research project. And after that, we have to study this project. And during this time, we're gonna have these people, so-called experts, travel to Haiti back and forth, first class and American Airlines. And then at the end of the day, this is where almost 85% of the money expended in the name of Haitian people. And now, as Haitian, I'm not happy. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated first because I know people all over the world stand to help Haiti. I know single citizen, people who don't have money, they send $10. I know students at school, they text to give money. And then when you go there to see the bureaucracies, like Asian people cannot access to UN compounds, is frustrating. I was able to enter to the UN compounds at the Toussaint National Airport in Haiti because two of my friends were American. And I was able to speak English or to dress up like them. And I have a SUV. It's like, oh, he has a SUV. It's not an ordinary person. So when you imagine all this stuff, the international airport in Haiti is like United States, and outside is Haiti. While the Marines, the UN employees have everything they need at the international airport, electricity, they even have gardeners to water their plants. Outside, Asian people are sleeping in makeshift tents. It cannot continue like that. While they stock the humanitarian aid, and then and then at the airport, like 5 minutes from the airport, children are dying from skin disease. 10 minutes from the airport. I grew up in Port-au-Prince. My community, T+Caso, is 10 minutes from the airport. We have a feeding program there that's been serving people for 10 years in St. Clair's Parish. And we cannot access to all food program to get some more rice to continue serving these people. We don't need soldiers in Haiti. You can imagine how the community come together to serve the people peacefully. So when you send troops in Haiti, it's like hypocrisy. It's like hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is continued. That's a call it. And then now, and it is a question to what did you do for Haiti in the past? The exclusion of Haiti for more than 200 years by the international community is part of the ongoing situation in Haiti. We have to be clear, we have to be honest with that. While most of the money they give to Haiti, they give it to military dictatorship governments. United States, Canada, France, and so on, they didn't support democratic government in Haiti. And these people, they are ready to put this country in its lower level as possible. Because for the NGOs to function in Haiti, they need a wicked government. They don't need a strong public institution. Haiti is one of the countries that has more NGOs in the world. And all these people, they are there to help Haiti. I know people who've been working for United States for more than 20 years in Haiti. And then now these people will say, I don't know what to do after 20 years. These NGOs, they cause a Nissan Patrol, Land Cruiser, and they even has bulletproof car. And then you can imagine all this stuff. We cannot deal with that anymore. As people, it's important for you to work with Asian people, to be a voice for Asian people here in the United States. We cannot continue to pay a debt that Asian people did not benefit from. The money that we are paying for, the interest we are paying for, is not fair. It's time for you to say to your government, to IMF, to cancel Haiti's debt, and to allow Asian people to present their own plan. Haiti is an agricultural country. I learned that since I was in school in Haiti. Haiti is not a sweet shop related country. You cannot have a sweet shop plan for Haiti. If you are a good friend of Haiti, it's time now to join the Asian person. We can do it in Haiti. As Max mentioned, use like in 1980s, they whip out our Creole pigs. And at that time, the Creole pigs represented the bank account of Haitian person. And that is where our extreme poverty started. That was made by USAID. And it was during the non-free government, they entered with Floridian whites in Haiti. All this stuff. You can see now from this perspective why the international community refused to support democracy in Haiti. The democracy they want to support is not the democracy that our father wanted for us. As you Americans, your nation, the father of your nation had a vision for you. We in Haiti, our father, Jean-Jacques Dessalines-Legrand, had a vision for us. The first thing Jean-Jacques Dessalines did, he proceeded to land reform. And a reform that everybody, every single Haitian can have access to a piece of land to continue covered. After our independence, we had to build forts to protect this country from another French invasion. It's time now. When we have a French president went to Haiti recently to say we are care for you, it's hypocrisy. If you are care for us, restitute us our money. Give us the money, our money back. It's time to pay this money. And we have enough natural resources to build this country. While we're talking about supporting democracy in Haiti, in 1990s, that was the first time Haitian people were able to freely choose their own president. 8 months after, that was CIA plotted with the Haitian army to overthrow Aristide. In 1994, for Aristide to return, President Clinton imposed to Aristide a plan called the PATOIS plan, where we have to privatize our public institution. And that was the same thing. I remember that was the 21,000 troops Clinton sent to Haiti at that time in 1994. And then now President Obama sent 20,000 troops. The same thing, different time, but the same thing. We cannot continue to deal with that, people. It's time. We will not accept IMF tells us that he's going to cancel Haiti's debt and he's going to impose on us his own plan. We cannot do that. Yes for help, but yes for Haitian plan first. We need a Haitian plan to rebuild this country, not an IMF plan. The plan they are going to discuss, they are going to talk about in the next coming weeks, I'm sure is not the plan that Haitian people want. First, we need a report from the ground, like Max mentioned. We want to work with Haitian grassroots organization, and these people, they know what the country needs actually. You cannot talk about the plan for Haiti, so by sending like a university professor in Haiti, and after 1 week he came back and he said, okay, this is the plan we want for Haiti. The sweet shop plan is not the good plan for Haiti. We need to be clear with that. Don't do to Haitian people what the things you don't want, like another country do for to your people here. I know it's a long struggle. It's a long way to go. But if we continue to meet together, to stand together, to be a voice for each other, wherever we are, we'll be able to change the world. And I was talking to one of my friends last night. I told him, I'm so tired talking about Haiti all the time. I have my roots in Africa. It's time for me to travel to Africa, to talk about Rwanda, to talk about South Africa. But since I was born, Haiti. Haiti is 1.5 hours from Florida. Come on. Look at us. We represented 70% of the sugar in the world at a time. It was a time. This time can come back. I believe so.
So I'm sorry.
So how can we imagine now our situation in Haiti without thinking about our past? And our past is important. So we don't have enough time, but we have a lot to say. And I'm so happy and so grateful for this opportunity that you gave us here in New Orleans to talk about Haiti. And I have a PowerPoint,
Yes.
a PowerPoint show that will, based on my recent trip in Haiti, will let you understand a little bit, because I'm not the best Haitian that can tell you that. You need to go there to meet with them. They will be able to tell you more about the situation in Haiti. Thank you so much. And we, once again, Valerie, I'm so happy because it's been a long time that I was thinking about having an Asian woman at the table talking about Haiti. And then because we know how important the women are for us in Haiti since our independence. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
So, Wadner, do you have your... It's already set up? Okay. So, as he's moving to hit the press play, we will hear this. I think this media presentation is approximately 10 minutes, and then we have about 35 minutes in this space. If, in the event that after we hear from powerful Professor Q, that we have run short on time, then there is a courtyard just outside of the room, of the space, where we can continue to have discussion, and it's such a gorgeous day. It seems like a pleasant way to continue this discussion, if needed. We have until about 4:25 in this space. So without further ado, we'll turn our attention to the PowerPoint.
Okay, so I'm gonna play the PowerPoint show without talking, and then after that we can, after Professor Bill finish talking, we can talk, and then we can ask questions about any pictures you will see. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation, Wadner. As he makes his way back to the table, I think I forgot to say, and I don't think I heard Wadner say, that he is associated with an organization called Site du Soleil, directly translated, Sight of the Sun. Just wanted to give that some airtime. And next up we have Professor Q. As I said, he comes to us now from the Center for Constitutional Rights and has also worked in the past with the Gillis Long Poverty Law Center.
I've been some tough spots before, but trying to follow these folks is pretty tough. My name is Bill Quigley, and I have lived in New Orleans for 35 years. I've been to Haiti about a few over 20 times, and I don't know the big picture. I barely know the little pictures, but I want to give you a couple of the little pictures that I have seen. One thing, Haiti is such a beautiful place and such a different reality. I remember one of the very first things I was struck by the first time I was there. That was on a big street right through the middle of town. It was called John Brown Boulevard. And I said, wow, you know, I have to come to Haiti to travel on John Brown Boulevard. And I just don't remember any John Brown Boulevards in New Orleans or Chicago or other places where we're fighting to try to get a Martin Luther King Boulevard over the last 20 or 30 years. They have a John Brown Boulevard through the middle of town. I've written about 6 or 7 articles since the earthquake, and they probably say whatever I'm going to try to say better than I do. So if you Google Quigley in Haiti, you would get a couple of them. But one of them is entitled Billions, Why We Owe Haiti Billions of Dollars. And that is to try to explain some of the history that you've heard here today. I know when I talked with my mother about it, my mother is 85, and she said, Bill, I'm 85 years old. I've been watching, reading the news. She has a college degree. She says, I never heard about any of this. How would we have known? How are we supposed to know that the United States didn't recognize Haiti for 60 years? Because how could we possibly recognize a country of freed slaves when we had our own slaves that we kept captured? How do we recognize that we sat in this country and bled it dry for decades? It doesn't fit with our national myth of us being, the home of the free and the land of the brave. And how about just in the recent years that, we toppled a democratic government there and turned it over to an unelected government and recognized the unelected government when we wouldn't recognize the elected government. And how do we not know those stories? How do we not know that the United States dumped billions of tons of rice into Haiti to subsidize our rice farmers in Louisiana and Arkansas and Florida and all those places? We subsidize our farmers, and they sell us the rice, sell the government the rice at 2 or 3 times what they could get on the market. And what does our government do with it? We go and we give it to the people of Haiti, which is fine. It helps people in the short run. But what happens to the Haitian farmers who don't have these government protections and all that? And we drive them out of business to where a country that, was able to take care of their own self is now dependent and is the #2 importer of rice from the United States at this day, before the earthquake happened. As Wadner, my friend, and Wadner and I have been in many, many fights together and many, many beautiful things together in Haiti over the last 10 years. As he say, what happened to Haiti is not the earthquake, okay? The earthquake, just like it did to us along the Gulf Coast, the earthquake gave us a new lens to look at the injustices and the terrible things that had happened before. Paul Farmer has written a book called The Uses of Haiti. It's a hard to read book. It's a really long book and all that. But he says essentially Haiti exists for the use of the United States. Their value to the United States is only as a place to dump rice, a place to experiment on pigs, a place to try out dictators who say, as long as they say they're anti-communist, then we'll give them guns and weapons and we'll loan them hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to use for themselves and not for the people of Haiti, because they're useful to us in terms of the geopolitics of Latin America and South America. When I went to Haiti the last time, just after the earthquake, I'll tell you a couple of quick stories of that. As we had to go through the Dominican Republic because the Haitian airport was still closed by, who was it closed by? It was closed by us. The United States government took over the Port-au-Prince airport, and our government and our military decided what planes were going to come in and what planes were going to go out, and they decided that passenger planes, at least for regular people, weren't going to be able to come in. So we went, without thinking, we went through the Dominican Republic, and we took a 7-hour trip from the Dominican Republic to Haiti, and we stopped on the border of Dominican Republic and Haiti in a town called Jamani. And we stopped there really just to go to the bathroom, because the guys in the trip had gone on the side of the road, and the women said, we're not going on the side of the road, you've got to find us a place. So the driver knew a woman who ran a small orphanage in this little town. And, Dominican Republic is poor by many comparisons, but not as compared usually to Haiti. So we stopped at this little orphanage in this town, and this orphanage was the size of a 2-car garage, and had a finished concrete floor, and they had something like 50 little kids there, all like under 10 years old. They were playing in the yard. It was a concrete yard. And I noticed when we went into this place, they had about, I counted 21 or 22 mattresses piled up on the side of the garage. And so it was clear, you know, how people slept at night and that stuff. So the driver talked to the woman there, and she let us use the bathroom in the back. And then the driver told the woman who was running this little orphanage where we were going and what we were doing. And I didn't understand her words, but she's like, wait. So she had us wait, and she went in the back, and she came out with a box, and she gave us a box of medicines from this impoverished orphanage. They gave us a box of medicine to take to their sisters and brothers in Haiti. And I think that story was the beginning of the real story for me of what the response was in Haiti. Because when we got into Port-au-Prince and we ended up at the place where we were, which was a house that we couldn't sleep in, but it did have running water. Next to it, they had 2 soccer fields that they let the kids in the neighborhood play. But these soccer fields were home now to, I think it was 550 families were living in the 2 soccer fields. And our media reports that they live in tents. And it's not, people are not living in tents. They are living on the ground underneath sheets. And so they had the sheets to try to, you know, keep out some of the sun, but it's not a tent. And it doesn't do anything for cold. It doesn't do anything for rain or that. But you know who was running these camps? With the young men of the community in concert with the young women and the older women of the community. That they had set up ropes to see where, you know, who was going to be on what side. They set up ropes up for a place to dig a latrine. They only had 1 meal a day, but they organized it so that everybody got a meal a day. And they had security where they took care of themselves. And they had some volunteers who would come to do some medical work and that sort of stuff. Volunteers would come to bring water. But the essence of what was happening there is what is happening right now, which is Haitians helping Haitians. And this was 2.5 weeks afterwards. I never saw a blanket from the United States. I never saw a can of food from the United States. I never saw any water from the United States. You could have dropped somebody from the United States in almost any neighborhood in Port-au-Prince, and you would not know that anybody in the world gave a damn about anybody in Haiti. So we're having these relief things and concerts and texting and all that stuff. It has not been given to the people of Haiti. As Wadner says, it's been absorbed. Our government, our president made a big announcement that we were giving $100 million to Haiti. And he made that announcement 2 weeks after a couple in Kentucky won $130 million in a Powerball contest. So we're going to give $100 million to Haiti? And then it becomes clear that actually for every dollar that we say we're going to give Haiti, we are paying ourselves back 33 cents for the military presence that we have in Haiti. So in terms of those dollars, and then actually as you break it down, there's actually 1 penny out of every dollar that the United States gives that goes into the hand of a Haitian. 1 penny out of every dollar. And you can Google that. It's Associated Press thing. It's not some left-wing whatever. And it breaks down. We gave it all to NGOs. We give it to other people and that stuff. But we give 1 penny out of every dollar goes into the hand of a Haitian. At the airport, while we were there, the United States, we militarized this response from the very beginning. And you can remember, as we did here in the Gulf Coast, the same thing happened. That the first thing happened was that people come and showing guns to us, and that we were all looters, and we were all rioters, and we were all taking care of everybody else. And taking advantage of everybody else, and they were shooting down helicopters and all. Remember all those rumors that all turned out to be false. Certainly there were some people who looted, but as I explained to people again and again, if you don't have water and you don't have food, then going to take water and food is not looting. That is survival stuff. So the things that we were seeing there where people were going through places and bringing out cloth, that was to make shelters. And there really was... in the time I was there, no violence at all. So 1 act of violence the whole time, and it was 2 young boys who were fighting over a young girl, which, you know, is sort of happens even when you don't have an earthquake, in my experience. But at the airport, part of the big American presence was to airlift United States citizens out of the country. That was our number one priority. It was not to take care of Haitians. And as they were putting people on the planes, just as we saw here, they separated. This child could go and that child would stay. This mother had to stay, but the children would go, because it was all about who had the passport. So if you had the passport, you got to go to the place that had electricity. You got to go to the place that had water. You got to go to the place where they would get on a plane and that. But if you didn't have that passport, then you were on the outside. And on the outside, I interviewed people 2 weeks ago that were closer than me to that wall over there, closer than that they didn't have food, they didn't have a tent, they didn't have anything. But on the other side of that fence, on the other side of that wall, they had everything. As Audrey and Wadner documented, on the other side of that wall, they have gardeners that are watering flowers. And on this side, they don't have water. They don't even have a tent. One of the big things for me in Haiti was the role of the United Nations, because I'm a middle-class white guy, grows up with the American myth and that stuff, and I think UN, peacekeepers, blue helmets, all that stuff. You go to Haiti and find out that the blue helmets are not there for peace, they are there for order. And in a profoundly unequal country that is run by a very group at the top who, anytime they want to, they call up the United States does a coup, gets rid of the person that people elect, then the UN is literally an occupying power. They are not peacekeepers, they are order keepers. And the order that they are keeping is a fundamentally unjust order. And as a consequence, they are called in to push people back and to shoot over people's heads, and in some cases to shoot people directly. And so the idea of UN and peacekeeper, it just doesn't fit our sort of a white middle-class idea of what that group would be about. Right now, you will see that, I'll tell you one story before I tell you that, is that when I got back, I wrote a couple of articles about it, and I got calls from people for interviews, and I really didn't have time to do most of them, but I was waiting for a call from somebody from Haiti. I have a godchild in Haiti that I was a best man at the wedding, a good friend there, and a godchild, and I thought it was my friend calling, and it wasn't. It was a person with a radio show, and I was coming out of a meeting. I didn't even hear which country they were from. But they said, Professor Quigley, we've been reading all these stories that you've put up, and they're very informative, and you seem to be very fair. So we want to ask you, why did the United States pull a coup on Haiti after the earthquake? And I said, well, I think that's a little unfair to say that as a coup. And he says, oh, well, I'm sorry, I thought that's sort of what you had described. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, didn't you say that the United States took over the airport in Haiti? And I said, yeah. And he said, and don't they have battleships all around the ports of Haiti that are manned by the United States? Yeah. And don't they have 20,000 U.S. troops in Haiti? Yeah, and isn't the United States actually deciding who gets water and who gets food and what's going to happen and what? I said, yeah, and he says, well, what's the difference? And so what is the difference? If you you connect the dots show the United States has decided that we are going to run it. But also when we decided to run it, we were dropping troops while we were stopping planes that had surgical equipment. Okay? We would allow troops to land while we turned away water and food, because we decided that was the number one thing that we had to be protected from, those so-called the mobs, the kids with machetes and all that stuff, which those of us on the Gulf Coast are very aware of, just the constant looping of a few incidents that the young people would get into. Constant looping, and thereby stigmatizing and criminalizing the entire people of the country of Haiti, which has been part of the way that the United States, the uses of Haiti that we've had so far. One of our biggest challenges, people in the United States, is this idea that the government of Haiti is deeply troubled. That's a fact. Everybody in Haiti will tell you that the same way as anybody else. But the problem is that the United States has helped create the deeply troubled government in Haiti. Because anytime anybody in Haiti does anything that we don't like, we pull the rug out from under them, we send in troops, we change what's going on and the like. And we have systematically for years and years and years privatized everything in Haiti. And that's why there are more NGOs in Haiti than there are any place else in the world. And Wadner and myself and other friends there, you would just, any highway, any street that you're on, if you wait, the best cars that go by, the SUVs are this NGO and that NGO and the world this and the international that and it's children's this and hunger that and first aid this and it's unbelievable because you never see the effects of these groups, but you can tell that they're there because they are their lifestyle, the resources that they consume and the like. So one of the things that we have to commit to as a country and as individuals is to support the rebuilding of the private sector in a way that is accountable to the people of Haiti. Because the NGOs are accountable to no one, as we know from our experience on the Gulf Coast. They do what they think is right. They do it. They raise their own money to supposedly help us. They do whatever they feel like doing, and then they go back and declare themselves a success and have a little video about, sometimes they help somebody or showing up in a singing church or something like that. And this exact same thing is happening there, but literally on steroids. It is so much worse. I mean, I felt so bad because, we have gone through a lot. What's happened to us with Katrina. We lost 2,000 people, maybe with the aftershock, a couple of thousand more. There's over 200,000 people dead in Haiti. There are people, most of the people there have no place to stay. And they can't drive to Memphis. They can't drive to Dallas or Atlanta. And they don't have their friends and family that will let them because the Dominican Republic is helping a lot more than people would guess. But at the same time, the Dominican Republic does not want all the people of Haiti to go over there. The United States, the reason we have those ships off the shore is to make sure that people don't take off in boats to come to the United States. And the reason we're checking all the passports and all that to make sure is that we don't want the people to go. So we want them isolated. We want them dependent, and we want unfortunately, we want a terrible government. And then when we get it and a crisis happens and they're not able to handle it, then what do? We blame it on the Haitians themselves and say that they are not capable of taking care of themselves, when in fact what's happening today, as the films show, what happened from the minute that the earthquake hit, is that the neighborhoods, the communities took care of their own people and were extremely generous and courageous and heroic and sheroic in every way that you could possibly do, and are doing it today with nothing. The last thing that I would like to say is, they talked about the lack of infrastructure and the lack of roads and all that stuff. We never say that the United States stopped $400 million worth of assistance that was supposed to go to Haiti in the year 2003 because we didn't like who they had elected president of the country. We stopped. It wasn't a grant, it was a loan. And the loans have crippled Haiti, but there was a loan for schools, it was a loan for hospitals, it was a loan for highways of $400 million, and the United States stopped that because we didn't like the outcome of their elections. And so we overturned that election and brought in, with our troops and our support and our economic power, we gave the country back to the people at the very, very top of the country who have been running it out of power and in power since that time. The last thing that I would say is, for those of us who want to know what to do, I would say three things. We have some particular experience being on the Gulf Coast of knowing who can help and who can't help. And so I think that idea of partnership, Max talked about it, is partnership, is that we have things to give, we have things to receive. The folks in Haiti have things to give, they have things to receive. If we are in a real, honest relationship with grassroots groups and community-based groups, and Haiti is full of them because that's the way people survive. They survive because in this neighborhood it's the church, in that neighborhood it may be a soccer club, another place it may be a women's choir, but it is the people taking care of themselves. So our job is to reach out and connect with those folks in a partnership, to ask, to be humble, to listen, to do all the things that we would have liked to have people do with us when we were in tremendous need. And this idea of community control with a public dimension that's so important. And the last thing I would say is, again, on this idea of disaster tourism, we know what it's like for people to come down. They'll spend they'll bring a church down, they'll spend $15,000 to bring their youth group down here, to spend 1 week here, and while they're here, they'll give away $500. And then they'll go back and celebrate what they did. And the same sort of principles that we want people to do when they look at us and when they help us, and God knows we still need their help, but we want real help. We don't need, disaster tourism help. That the same sort of thing, that there is respect, that there's sharing of resources, and it's not about how good I feel because I went down there at this time and we got a nice picture with our church. That church that went down there with those kids is the exact example. It's like the worst example, but it is an exact example of what most of the NGOs are doing down there. They were a little bit dumber than most of the NGOs in terms of what they did, but it was 1 or 2 people who knew what they were doing who recruited a bunch of other sort of well-meaning people to show up down there and do something that they had no idea what the hell they were doing, except the people at the top who knew what they were doing was shady, and they pulled in all kinds of people and all kinds of resources. And so for 2, 3, 4 weeks, what has been the #1 story about Haiti in the United States, it hasn't been the million people who are living under sheets when it's pouring rain and they're shitting over on the side here and everybody's waste and everything like that is just in one place. It's about, these folks from Idaho and the fundamentalist right-wing folks who didn't know what they were doing and staying in a Haitian prison. And the pictures they show them in a Haitian prison are not a Haitian prison either. They're in a special place within the prison. They show the 2 people there with an igloo cooler, 2 women in a cell. They don't show you the cell next to it that has 46 women in that thing that doesn't have an igloo cooler or anything else. And so, once again, it is an opportunity for the world, but particularly for the United States, and particularly for those of us on the Gulf Coast, to talk about justice, talk about sisterhood and brotherhood, talk about the importance of listening over talking, the importance of humility and the like. But it will take literally a revolution in the way that we look at this stuff. A revolution by turning it upside down and going to the roots of the cause. It will take a revolution to give Haiti the opportunity to shrug off the 200 years of mistreatment that we have done, that France has done. They are certainly capable of doing it, and they've continued to do it. But if the tools that we put at their disposal right now, this last week we had an exhibition in Miami, the IPOA, the International Peace Organization Affiliation, International Peace Organization Affiliation had a special Haiti week in Miami for groups to come and show what they could do for the people of Haiti. And you know what those groups were? The IPOA is the trade group for the private military contractors of the United States. It's Blackwater, Triple Canopy, the Halliburton stuff, and that. They held a thing in there where they advertise on the website. We already have people who can license to carry guns in Haiti. We have Navy SEALs, we have Delta Force, we have all these folks, and they had a big convention just to talk about security. Because why? Because some of the 20,000 U.S. troops are leaving the area, and so it's important for the NGOs and everybody else to make sure that they are well secured in doing this. Again, the criminalization of the victims of a natural disaster that we're very familiar with here along the Gulf Coast is happening there in a way that's much, much worse. And it is important, as Wadner said, and when I talk to people, they say, Bill, as much as we need your help and we appreciate your help in the human rights work that we're doing and passing on some of the principles for the internally displaced, translating those into Creole and sending those out and doing that work and that, I said, the biggest thing you can do is to impact your own government, impact USAID, impact the White House, impact the rest of the people, because the United States has such a huge footprint on the people of Haiti. So with that, I would stop and thank you for letting me talk, especially after these wonderful folks, and look forward to any questions that you might have.
So if you've come to help me, you're wasting your time. But if you've come because your liberation is wrapped up in mine, let us struggle together.